Hello, everyone. I am Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. Today, we have an extra special interview, one that we have never done one like this before. It is a couple success interview. We've worked with married couples before, but we haven't captured a story. So today we have Nicki and Greg, extraordinarily successful power couple, here to share their story. So at The Art of Applying, we start all of our client group coaching calls with celebrations. We're going to start with listening to what is Nicki's celebration, and then we'll go into what is Greg's 2 years ago or 3 years ago celebration. So Nicki, what is your celebration?
I am so excited. I got into Chicago booth this week on Wednesday. So it's like the ultimate of ultimate celebrations this week.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Nicki. How do you feel?
I'm like beyond excited. It's just like after having done this for 2 years and like all the work that I put in, like to finally get to like my number one choice, it's really amazing.
Oh!
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yes, wonderful. And Greg, you actually, why don't we make your celebration what we were just talking about? What did you just do?
Yeah, so I just graduated from Georgetown's full-time MBA program last weekend, and I got a full tuition scholarship there. So very happy to be over and to have paid nothing.
Me too.
Yes, awesome. So to make it clear to everybody, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, Greg reached out for a breakthrough call because his wife, Nicki, there's my dog, Zadie, his wife, Nicki.
I think fiance at the time.
Yeah, fiance at the time.
Yeah.
Fiance, his fiance working in Singapore, which is you, was encouraging him to reach out to us. The summary of the story, everybody, is we had a breakthrough call, me, Greg, and he brought Nicki at my request, and it was a really weird time for Nicki, but she joined. Greg enrolled in the application accelerator. Greg, you were one of the first, I think, 5 clients of this when I created the program ever. Yeah. So that's amazing. Greg went through the program, got a full scholarship to Georgetown, and then Nicki was like, my turn. And Nicki enrolled in the application accelerator and got into her top choice school.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's unbelievable.
Well, awesome. So let's rewind all the way back to 3 years ago. Greg, what wasn't working? What was giving you trouble? What made you feel like I need help? Or what made Nicki feel like, dude, you need help?
So I'm a chemical engineer by training. So the whole idea of going to business school was foreign to me. Like, what kind of essays do I need to write? What kind of skills do I need to showcase? What sort of background or test score do I need to do any of this stuff? So I was very foreign to the entire process. So we decided that I would enroll in the application accelerator to get me that base level of knowledge that as an engineer, I could then take and apply to the programs.
Fantastic.
And we know a few people that have gotten their MBAs, but it's not like everyone we work with has them, or like it wasn't very common for our friend group or, people at your work and people at my work. So we just had no idea what we were getting into. So we needed help.
Fantastic. I love it. And Nicki, obviously you saw the great results that we helped Greg get. Talk to us about what you hoped you would get help with by enrolling in the application accelerator.
Yeah. So for me, I have a business background, and I obviously had seen Greg's experience, so I wasn't really concerned more with like the process, but I have a really demanding full-time job, and I knew that I wasn't going to spend my time like looking at all of these different things. And I also knew that I had a lot of good experiences, but I didn't really know how to showcase them. And I didn't want to showcase them wrong. Like, I didn't want to be that person that's applying 6, 7, 8 times. I wanted to do it once and like do it right. And so that was like, okay, I'm going to just do exactly what Greg did and get the help.
We really had a 4-year plan.
Yeah.
I go to MBA, she goes to MBA.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it. I love it. We've changed each other's lives. Nicki, are you open to me talking about? So Nicki is an entrepreneur. She has a business called Solo Gal Travel, and I was privileged to be the second client.
Yeah, second client.
And I decided I wanted to go to Europe for 2.5 weeks. Actually, because during one of these video testimonial interviews, a client was like so excited about getting into ESA and going to Barcelona. And I'm like, what's Barcelona? Let's see what it is. And so I became a client of Nicki's solo women's travel business, travel planning business, travel advising. And she put together an amazing itinerary for me. I think it covered London and Barcelona. And I like used it like a checklist. I did as much as I could on the list, and I loved it so much. I went back and lived there for 4 months, and I had the time of my life. And I'm so glad I had that experience, especially now that with the pandemic, we're all just kind of sheltering in place. I'm so happy that I had that experience. It was truly the time of my life.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I would say my favorite thing on the list that you had for me was the bunkers of Carmel, which was amazing.
Yep.
That is so cool how we've all just been a part of each other's lives.
Yeah,
For a long time, yeah.
For a long time. It was beautiful. So I know the people who are listening and watching this video will want to know as much as you're willing to share about your stats. So they're going to want to know like your age, a little bit about your work experience. Where'd you go to college? What was your GPA? What'd you study? What'd you get on the GMAT or the GRE? As much as you're willing to share, as specifically as you're willing to share, because that will help them be like, oh my God, like if he can do it, if she can do it, like I can do it too.
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. So I went to Gonzaga University undergrad. I had a 3.64 when I graduated. I worked at Dell, and I've worked there the entire time, so it's been 6 years. And my experience there, I did an international assignment for 6 months. I did a leadership rotational program, and I am now the chief of staff for the head of inventory control. So just kind of moved on up. I took the GMAT 3 times, and that was we agreed that was like the red flag of the application. I ended up with a 650, which was a little scary for me trying to apply to some of these top programs, but it worked out. So,
yeah,
fantastic, Nicki. It's a huge accomplishment to get into Booth with a 650, and might I say, as a white person,
yeah,
really big. Like we've had clients with lower GMAT scores get into Booth, with clients of color. But it's a huge accomplishment. And, we all know that you are not your test score. It's just a number. I don't even believe in the test. But it is a part of the application process. So really proud of you. If you're willing to share your age, I think people would want to know.
Oh, yeah. I just turned 28 this month.
Well, oh, okay. Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
Yeah. So when I applied, I was 26. I'm now 28, but I was 26, and I had 4 years of engineering experience at Samsung Electronics, semiconductor manufacturing. As I mentioned, I was a chemical engineer, and I took the GRE instead of the GMAT because I figured it was more similar to engineering focus. Do you remember what I got?
You got like a 310 or something.
It was not that great. I think it was like I'm not exactly sure what I got, but it was probably right around mid-range for Georgetown specifically. But I also applied through the consortium because I did a lot of work in Austin, Texas, where I was with an organization called Young Men's Business League, which serves underrepresented or underserved portions of Austin and giving them summer camp and doing a lot of fundraising and scholarships for Austin residents. So I applied through the consortium and was able to get the full ride from them.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Greg, had you heard of the consortium before you were a client, or did we?
No.
Wow.
I was just going to apply. I had no idea that I would even qualify for something like that.
That's amazing. Awesome. Okay. Very cool. Now let's talk about, oh man, where to begin? Let's talk about the essay drafting and revising process. We'll have Nicki go first so that Greg can have some time to dig in his brain to 3 years ago. But just what did you like about it? What was most valuable about working one-on-one with your consultant, or going to the calls and to the group coaching calls and bringing your drafts to those?
I think when you read the essay prompt, and especially if you've been out of school for a long time, the immediate answer I would give was nowhere near specific or deep enough. So having somebody that was experienced in this, but also like somebody that doesn't know you, right? You would say something that to you seemed, pretty straightforward, and they would say, well, no, I don't know what that means, or tell me more about that. Why did you pick this experience and not that experience? And so it kind of opens your mind that like you need to be way more specific and clear. And I think that's probably the difference between a good application and a great application is the specificity. And I honestly wouldn't have known that unless they pushed me on it. And that was the big thing we focused on.
Good. Yeah, I saw you receiving that comment quite a bit in your
all the time.
Yeah, I think with my essay writing, it was the exact opposite, because I valued brevity, and that's not exactly what you need when trying to tell someone who you are. So I think my consultant was really focused on like explaining the narrative, right? Like, what is the story you want to tell? What is the things that you want to get out of this? So I had to get the opposite, where like write more about this, be more specific about this, add some words here, right, and that kind of stuff. So I think it shows that it's adaptive to your writing style, right? My writing style was definitely more point of fact and less narrative based.
Got it. Okay, good. Another thing I would love to hear about is your experience interacting with other people in the program. As far as I know, every other admissions consulting company just has you work one-on-one with your consultant. That's the standard. That's what you do. And what we do differently at the Art of Applying is you do have a dedicated consultant, but then you also interact with other consultants on our team, as well as other applicants who are in the application accelerator. I know it was a long time ago, Greg, but do you remember what that was like? And if so, what did you like about it?
Yeah, I remember the calls every week, being able to hop on the calls, and the question and answer calls were great because my peers were asking questions that I didn't even know I had until they were asked, right? So like I said, I was very inexperienced with the whole process, and I was the first one of us to go. So they would ask things about, if you need financial aid, how would you go about applying for stuff like that? Or, what is the best way to showcase this kind of thing? Or of the 15 consortium schools, which ones are best matches for what I want to do and where I want to be, right? Things like that were questions I had no idea what I didn't no idea I wanted the answer to those questions.
Great.
Yeah, and we're still, so I admittedly got involved with the other applicants pretty late. It was only after I started submitting everything and I started freaking out about not getting in places. And actually, I'm still in contact with people that were on the wait list with me. I was on quite a few different wait lists towards the end. And so it was like, did you hear something? Oh, I heard something. Okay. What about this? And so that moral support was like really amazing because again, I don't know anybody else that's applying this round. So we could kind of commiserate together.
Oh, I love it. Good. what I would like, maybe this is more for Nicki just because the program has changed quite a bit since Greg did it. We've added a lot more weekly calls and we've got mindset coaches and all kinds of stuff that just wasn't in the program a few years ago. What's maybe one or two elements of the program that you feel like people should know about and that you enjoyed and benefited from?
I think I would say the weekly calls are something really unique, I think. The fact that on a weekly basis, you can get your question answered that week versus like, oh, I have to wait till I talk to my consultant on a long form or something like that. I also think that the network of consultants, so you mentioned it, but you don't have to talk to your own consultant. You can talk to other consultants. And so it was kind of this person actually knows the answer to that question. Let me put you in touch with them, right? So nobody's guessing. And I think that was really valuable of like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to have Kenesha answer that question. And so you feel like you're getting the end all be all answer and you can put your faith in that answer versus somebody saying, oh, I'm not sure, I think that's right. Because a lot of this process feels very high stakes at times, right? You get one application to put in, and to have somebody feel wishy-washy about the answer, it's concerning.
So what I was saying is we're able, I really like what you said, we're able to provide people with certainty and clarity, and there's no single point of failure in the team. If your consultant is sick or whatever, like there's just somebody to fill in right away.
And when you switch like career focuses or career backgrounds, you switched consultants, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have access to whoever is going to be helping you, right? And I also think too, the consultants are learning from the other applicants at the same time, right? So what was cool is they're able to say, oh, my other applicant just got the answer to this question. Let me send it to you. Or, oh, my applicant's talking to the admissions office next week. I'll have her ask that question for you. It's just like you feel like you have like a whole team, which is pretty cool. Because you feel like you need a team.
It takes a village. Yeah. Wonderful. Now I would love to have each of you rewind and talk to yourself at the beginning of this process. What would you say to yourself to encourage yourself? Don't tell yourself the future. Don't say, you're going to get into both. Yeah, but what would you say to speak to the fears and concerns and doubts that you had at the beginning of this process? So we'll go for it.
Okay.
No, I mean, when I think back, I was really nervous about the whole process and like not knowing what to do or not knowing if it was right or not knowing, all that. I would tell myself like, it is 100% worth it, right? It is 100% worth it on every front, right? Going to MBA is the right call. Going to Kenesha and the Art of Applying is the right call, right? Going through and talking to your consultant and really like working with them. They will work with you to the very end of the deadlines and they will help you out as much as they possibly can. Like throw yourself all in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would say all of that. And I would say like there's a value in doing it like fully and completely and vulnerably, right? If that's a word, right? With vulnerability, because there's a quick and easy way to apply to MBA, right? There's a lot. It's super easy to just open the application, send it off, and not put any thought or effort into it. But I think that it makes the difference to have a team around you, have experts around you. It saves you so much time and so much headache. The process is already completely emotional and crazy. I can't imagine it being emotional and crazy, like for the basic things. And I think that, finding a space where you can be yourself and express to your consultant and express to your fellow applicants, like, this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? Is a really valuable place. So I don't think we would do it any differently. But.
Yeah, no.
I love it. I love it. And I also think it's really cool that y'all had such a long-term view of what you wanted for your future and that it's all working out. I would love to hear, I think really Nicki was kind of the mastermind, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's definitely true.
Of this long-term plan. And so Nicki, I would love to just hear from you about, to speak to people listening and watching about the importance of starting early and thinking about and reaching out for help early?
I think, so the thing about reaching out early is it gives you time to pivot. So especially when you're looking at our world right now, right? When you think about something like coronavirus, obviously that affects everybody, but the lesson is that life changes. And so the fact that we reached out, even in Greg's case, he reached out early. In my case, I think Kanisha was like, you reached out too early. Can you just like wait, wait a second? But I think what it does is it allows you that time to be really self-reflective and clear on your goals. And so you end up applying to the right places. You end up putting more effort into, like, more efficient effort, let's say, into the things that you do. And then you're allowed to pivot. I mean, the fact now that I can go to MBA next year and I'm not somebody who's now at this point in the year scrambling to get an application in for these round 4, round 5, round 6s that are happening, it's really valuable. And, you know, if this hadn't been the right thing, I still would have had time to keep refining my dream because I started early. So I wouldn't wait because it's a long process.
And I feel like a lot of the MBA application process is about fit, right? So the more time you have, the more time you can understand yourself and the schools and really assess fit and build that into your application.
Yeah.
Great. And I want you all to speak to the person who says, yeah, I get it. I'm going to reach out early, but I'm going to get a great GMAT score or GRE score. I'm going to do that. Then I'll be in touch.
But a GMAT's like you get one shot, right? I mean, like I took the GMAT 3 times. And when I have no problem saying this. The first time I took the GMAT cold, I got a 480.
Ay.
Horrible. It was like, oh no, my dreams are gone, right? So I think, like, don't wait, because first off, it's clearly not all about the GMAT. But also, like, it's a whole circumstance. I don't know. It's you waiting for that one perfect test score to delay everything is just, it's like focusing on one small little piece of everything. Yeah,
I mean, in the whole application process and at Georgetown, there are people that got.
Oh, somehow you're muted. I don't know why. Nope, you're muted still.
I can see you, but we can hear you now. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, there are people that were my peers at Georgetown that got 720s, 730s, but they chose to go to Georgetown over things. So, like, GMAT is not everything, and the part that actually I struggled with the most was the, like, mindset and the essay, like, presenting myself in the essay way, right, in the correct way on my essays.
I love it. And so, a term we learned in operations, and I'm sure you know as an engineer, is parallel processing. So, Greg, talk to us about what that looks like in your application process.
Yes.
Sequential, or whatever the other term is it has to be parallel. So what is that? Yeah,
so, I mean, if you are applying to MBA and you're applying to this stuff, you likely have a full-time job that you're also doing while applying, right? So you have a full-time job that you have to manage. You have your essays that you have to do. You have your letters of recommendation, your score, all of these things that are overwhelming and take more time than you think they will, right? So being able to do your first round of essays, having your consultant say, these are trash, we need to redo them in this way, this way, this way.
Well, say it nicer than that.
Well, of course.
Sometimes.
While you are studying for your first GMAT and then taking your first GMAT, it allows you to batch process it in terms of, okay, my first try, right? Without a consultant, my first try would be the one I submit. But with the consultant, my first try, I can get feedback, I can refine, I can redo. And then I probably went through 8, 9, 10 iterations of some of my essays, and I took the GRE GMAT combination 4 or 5 times, right? So it takes the iterative process, and starting early and doing everything at the same time helps get your mind around what it takes to get into a top school.
I love it. I love it. Nicki, I would love for you to speak to other couples. Let's just go ahead and say heteronormative wife, husband, fiance type people. I've seen it before. For whatever reason, it is usually the guy who is kind of the priority first, whatever, I don't know. And then the woman, maybe just because the woman is like, I'm such a badass, let's get the bozo in, and then I can get in wherever. But no, I'm teasing you, Greg. But speak to other couples or partners where there's the one partner who is kind of trying to figure out how to make it all work for both, and just like encourage them.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting, it's an interesting dynamic, because you're right, at the forefront, it's very exciting to have your partner get in. And the reason we chose for Greg to go first is because I could work remotely and he couldn't, right? And there's probably logistical reasons, like for everybody, right? But and also the bozo part. Also the bozo part. But so then it's kind of great where, okay, so you've decided one person's going to go, and that sounds all good on its face. But it can be a little bit challenging when they go and leave for school, and you're like, oh, shoot, I want to do that too. And I'm still in my old life and he's in his new life. And what does that mean? And it's a very emotional process. But I think being on the other side of that, I really don't think I would have gotten to where I am without seeing him go through it. I almost got to do it with training wheels, right, before I did it myself. And he made mistakes, right? And I made mistakes, but I got to learn from his mistakes. And, it was great too, because he could read my essays as well, right? He could give me feedback as well, and things like that. So I thought it was positive. I think just being really clear, again, it goes back to the mindset stuff. Like, why are you doing this, right? Why is it important that we both go? Why is it important for both of us to do that? I think if you have that at the center of things, it makes everything a little easier.
Wonderful. I love it. And Greg, why was it important for you to both go? Yeah,
so it was where we wanted to be in our life, right? We have so if I'm being completely honest, I visited her in Penang, Malaysia while she was on her abroad assignment. And I still remember, it was this jungle cafe in the north side of Penang. We sat down and we talked to each other about what do we want to do with our life. And on both of our bucket lists, or on both of our 5-year plans, was an MBA. So we planned it out. We said, okay, well, right now I'm in a manufacturing job. I can't really do this, blah, blah, blah. So I'll go first, then you go, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that. Right. So it was really just a respect thing. It was, I want to do it. She wants to do it. How do we make it work?
Yeah.
Right. And we were able to fit it together. And I mean, being on the other side of my MBA, it was the best decision we could have made.
And I would say too, and maybe this, I think people may be concerned about this. I've had a lot of people say, oh my gosh, you guys must be in millions of dollars of debt that you guys have now, right? I mean, because that's kind of scary to think, like you're plunking down all this cash for 2 people back to back. I think there's so much out there for you, right? I mean, the fact that Greg got a full ride obviously was fantastic. There's so many other types of scholarships, and there's ways to do it. I wouldn't let the financial commitment be the reason that you don't do it.
That's right. I love it. I love it. And one thing that we talked about briefly, but very importantly in business school, which was like my favorite day of the whole experience, was the importance of who you married. And especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. And it's just so wonderful and exciting to see how you two are such partners, equal partners, right? So first, Greg went to school, and Nicki, you were a literally MBA partner. And now, Greg, you're going to have that experience. And I just love seeing the give and the take, the trade-off, and just, man, talk about power couple.
Working on it.
So how are you all going to celebrate, or how have you celebrated Nicki's acceptance to Booth?
Well, we are currently in my parents' house right now. We're back and forth. We're in California. We're living in DC, and in DC we had 2 bottles of Dom Perignon
Nice.
that we planned out. Two. One for my graduation, and one when Nicki applies and gets in, and we decide.
When I'm in.
So,
but they're stuck in lockdown.
they're in Washington, so we'll have a
Well, we've already been.
go
The kind of silver lining of being with family is that they were all here when we got the news. So we just feel like we've been having a nonstop party for like 2 days. And of course, and Greg took your advice, Kenesha. As soon as I got in, he goes, "We're getting on the website and we're buying the swag."
Yep.
Good. Yeah. What swag did you get?
We got a couple of mugs.
Hats and mugs and shirts. It was like, he went crazy.
Good. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so proud and excited. Look, it's just like, what a week. Greg graduating from Georgetown, a newly minted MBA, full scholarship. That's actually, it means more than just the money. Like, you're going to have that consortium network for the rest of your career. On your resume, you get to put in the education section, like, I attended graduate school for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a signal to employers that you're a professional in demand.
Yep.
And then Nicki, for you to be so persistent and to be on the wait list at multiple places, and you kept such a great attitude, and for it to have ended up with you getting into your top choice school.
Yeah.
And that's why it's, that's one of the secrets in my presentation that you may or may not remember, but it's aiming high makes it easier to apply. And I've seen it before where we have clients who get rejected from almost all their schools and then they get into their top choice school.
I know. It's been a crazy ride. It makes it feel, that much more sweet, right? That like, I earned this. I really, really worked hard. So waited a lot. But.
You did. You worked hard. You were so persistent. And I'm just so excited for both of you. So proud of both of you. And if, Nicki and I were lucky enough to meet in person, and Greg and I got to meet, I guess we all met in person. So I met you twice, Nicki, and Greg once.
Yeah.
That's very rare that I get to meet the clients in person. In 10 years, I've maybe met 30 clients. So
wow, okay.
Real privilege. Yeah, real privilege. And this is just a joy. This is why I do what I do. And just this is the beginning of the rest of your life. And it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're so excited.
We are.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's going to inspire and encourage a lot of people. I love it. Our first couple testimonial video. Thanks, y'all.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks for watching our video. For more videos just like this, make sure you click subscribe. And if you want to work with us on your graduate school applications, visit us at theartofapplying.com or click on the link below in the description.